Hello everyone and welcome back to the 12 Days to Clarity. Today, on day 3, we're gonna focus on the very top of our sales dashboard on our KPI cards. This is one of the most important parts of every overview, of every landing page, and it should be done right. Now, in a lot of reports, these numbers are usually just positioned there and shown just as numbers. And this is where Zebra BI really comes in to help things out a lot. Let's check it out. Let's see what we have to offer for our KPIs with native Power BI. So first of all, go to visualizations and we're going to add our card visual. There we go. This one is pretty simple and it only has a field for our values. And if we put it in, there we go, we get just a simple value. But we said this is not good enough. We would like to have some context to our number. And so Microsoft tried to fix this with the new card. Well, the new card now has a couple of things like categories that we can actually populate, and we can put, I don't know, let's say our KPIs here. We have them here in our slicer, but we could actually make this card into 4 different cards, one for each of our KPIs like this. Now we are still missing some context, and one thing that the new card does is it helps us with this context by adding a reference label. Now we can make the reference label very similar to what we want, so something that would give us context, let's say how much is our actual versus previous year, but we would have to write the docs and create the measures all by ourselves, taking a lot of time and even knowledge. But there is another one that we can try, which is our KPI. Just KPI, but I guess it's a KPI card. Now this one requires that we have a trend axis as well, so what we can do is maybe we can populate this with our months, and since we only have 1 month, you're not going to be able to see it now, but let's maybe choose a couple more months, like this. There we go. And now we can get pretty much a better idea of what's going on, and we can also add our target here. There we go, let's say our plan, and it's going to calculate our goal versus plan. And with what is a good thing here is that the plan, of course, actually changes depending on what we have selected. So this is pretty good. We're on a good part here, but I think it's not the best we can do. One thing, let's say, that kind of bothers me, if I want to, let's say, add another target, so target versus, let's say, previous year, well, I'm completely confused now what I'm actually looking at. So what is the trend actually showing, and which of these goals are actually correct? What is the relative number that we're looking at? So yeah, I think this is okay. And by the way, what does this gold color even mean, right? So I think we're a ways there, but I think there is a better way, and the better way is, of course, with Zebra BI. Zebra BI cards are made specifically to make your KPIs look the best that they can, and we can build them pretty easily. We can just use our actuals and put them under our values. We can use our plan and put it under our plan. And then not only do we get a cool little card with the reference that we have under here, right? But we also, do you see, we also get a tooltip that tells us all the numbers that we might need, but we also get a visualization. Now this visualization, if you remember in the beginning, I didn't have it, so you can toggle it off if you want something that's a little bit more minimalist. But of course, you can have them if you want to show a little bit of your trends as well. Okay, so now that we're done here, we can click here and we can also get both the variances, the one that is relative and the one that is absolute, so we really understand what's going on right now. So we're looking at costs now, and one thing that you guys can see is, oh, our costs actually went up, and we're gonna fix this with pretty much one click in just a second. But let's actually move back to our revenues, and now one thing that we can do is, of course, the same thing that I mentioned before, move our KPIs inside of here. So we're going to take our KPIs and move them to our group. You can see that it also says KPIs here. And let's just maybe choose a couple of more KPIs so we can see it a little bit better. There we go. And now we have our cards. Let's make them a little bit bigger. We have our cards now all in the same visual, keeping the performance good, but also showing our data in the best possible way. Now, one thing that you might have noticed is not only Zebra BI really calculated all of the differences that it needed to, it also formatted them. So everything that went up is green and everything that went down is red. So we don't have this problem of what actually is this gold telling us. Now, one thing that we have to do now is we can go in and we can focus on a card like this, the gross margin percent. We need to change it to a percentile because gross margin percent is of course in percentiles. And there we go, it's changed with a single click. We can then move throughout all of the cards with gross profit, and now we come to costs, which we need to invert because of course costs going up is actually bad for our bottom line, right? When we've done this, we can go back to the report and now our cards are done. One thing we can also add is, or maybe I can show you, is how to suppress the chart. There's a lot of different things that you can change here for the cards, a lot of things, and one of them is this suppress chart, which I think is, well, makes a little minimalist, but still keeping a lot of data density. And with this, even though they're very important, we can keep the cards pretty small and then have our breakdown like we had in the beginning on the dashboard a lot more prominent. Now, one thing that I have to show you is what if I want to compare myself also to previous year. Well, there's also a little placeholder here for previous year, and now there we go, we have both of them, right? And again, with a click, we can simply change views on all of our cards, so we can get the absolute and the relative variances. So in the end, the important thing is I don't have to choose between three different visuals, each doing things a little bit different or requiring me to do a lot of manual work to get to the same result. And you saw that I didn't have to do any calculations. Zebra BI uses these great placeholders here for different measures, and when you populate them, of course, it calculates, it knows the relationship between each of our measures, so it knows actual, it knows previous year, it knows plan, and it can calculate the different variances itself, and it can also show them on our cards, I think, in the best way that is currently available in Power BI. So on a sales dashboard, this means that your KPI strip will no longer be just numbers, but it actually becomes a compact, decision-ready summary of your revenue, your gross profit, or any other important KPI for your reports. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to only be in sales. You can use this type of KPI cards in your inventory monitoring report, or maybe for your cost management report that you've done in Power BI, or even something like your social media Power BI dashboard. If you'd like to try this on your data and create your own Zebra BI KPI cards, go into the description below and start the Zebra BI trial. Also, go into the comment below and tell me if you like the added visualizations to cards, not only Zebra BI ones, but native ones as well, and what do you think of one versus the other? Well, this was day 3 of the Zebra BI 12 Days to Clarity. Thank you for joining me, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.